Hi, my name is Mary Beth, and I am a librarian with the Alamance County Public Libraries. And today I am going to talk about some of the books we have on our new bookshelf. Because you guys can't come in right now and browse because the library is not open to patrons, we want to do some of the browsing for you and let you know what we have on our new bookshelves. Once you have found a book that you would like to have, remember that we are doing curbside pickup, and you can either put these books on hold by going to our catalog, finding the book and clicking on hold, putting in your login information, or you can always give us a call at the library. Here at May Memorial, that number is 336-229-3588, and we are open for curbside pickup and to answer phones between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and between 2 and 6 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So let's get to our first group of books, and we are going to talk about thrillers today. Video one is going to have our psychological thrillers. These are the ones that are twisty and can keep you up at night with surprises and plot twists and things that you never see coming. The second video is going to focus on the other kinds of thrillers, the adventure stories, the political dramas and the medical dramas. And because we have so many thrillers, we needed to split it up into two videos. So sit back and let's get into those psychological thrillers. The first psychological thriller we're going to talk about today is called Wherever She Goes, and it is by Kelley Armstrong. And this is the story about a woman who sees a child being abducted on a playground. But unfortunately, no one ever reports that child being lost or stolen. And so the police don't believe her because of some other issues that she has had, that she is not a reliable source of information. And so she goes and to investigate herself to find out, was she crazy? Was this kid really abducted? The second book on our thrillers list today is called The Mansion by Ezekiel Boone. A couple moves into a mansion that is run by an artificial intelligence entity, and all sorts of bad things happen with that. So if you want to know what can go wrong with a house run by artificial intelligence, pick up The Mansion by Ezekiel Boone. Our third book today is No Bad Deed by Heather Chavez. And in this story, our main character sees a couple arguing on the side of the road, and she decides to intervene. And the man of this couple says, if you let her die, you will live. And from that, we have a great twisty story of, how do you choose? What do you decide to do when, when you, are you going to help someone? Or are you going to mind your own business and keep going and preserve yourself? Our next book is Kiss the Girls and Make Them Cry by Mary Higgins Clark. And probably most of you know she has been writing books for a very, very long time and writes thriller books with excellence. And in this one, a journalist gets a scoop. A source comes to her talking about a possible some sexual misconduct at a large company, but then her source dies in a freak jet ski accident. And so she tries to discover whether the accident was really an accident or if someone has killed her to protect their secrets. Our next book is also by Mary Higgins Clark, as well as Alifair Burke. It is You Don't Own Me. It is part of the Under Suspicion series. And if you have read any of those, or you haven't read any of those, the books are based around a show called Under Suspicion, where they investigate unsolved disappearances and murders and try to find out what happens with some of these cold cases. In this book, Lori, the main character, is planning her wedding, but she is also looking into the death of a doctor under suspicious circumstances and finding out his secrets and his wife's secrets and who may have killed him. Our next book is Grace is Gone by Emily Elgar. And in this book, we have a mother and a daughter who have moved to a small town, and they're very well loved there. But no one really knows their history. They know that she's trying to escape from an ex, but that's about all they know. And then the mother is killed, and the daughter Grace has disappeared. And so people in the town are trying to figure out, was it the ex-husband? Did she have secrets other than this? What happened? Who killed her? And where has Grace gone? The next book is Shape of Night by Tess Gerritsen. And you'll see this is a Lucky Day book, but right now we are not using the same rules. So these, although they normally check out for just 1 week, they are checking out and at the 3-week normal due date. So don't be put off by the fact that it has a Lucky Day sticker on the bottom. So Shape of Night kind of goes from thriller to a little bit of a ghost story. The main character moves to a main town to escape her past and moves into a mansion where a sea captain haunts it. She finds out from people in the town after meeting this sea captain and getting kind of involved with him that all the women who have ever lived in this house after the death of the sea captain have died themselves. And so is the ghost sea captain killing people, or is there a flesh and blood killer after her? Our next book is called The Sea of Lost Girls by Carol Goodman. The main character works at a prep school with her husband, and her son is 17 years old, also at the school. A young lady dies at the school, and her son and her husband are both suspects. And she realizes that some of the history that she thought she had left behind may be coming into play with this situation. Next, we have Perfect Little Children by Sophie Hannah. Our main character is taking her son to a soccer game and in a neighboring town, and finds herself really near where her ex-best friend who moved out into the suburbs lives. And so she drives by, she sees her ex-best friend pull into her driveway, and 2 children get out of the car, and they are the same age as the kids were when she knew her 10 years ago. So evidently her children haven't aged. And so if you want to find out how her children didn't age and what was really going on, pick up Perfect Little Children. Our next is Never Have I Ever by Joshilyn Jackson. A group of women have a neighborhood book club, and the new woman who has moved into their neighborhood comes, and she kind of takes over the book club. She gets everybody drunk, keeps pouring drinks, and at the end of the night plays a game similar to what we grew up playing, Never Have I Ever, and reveals that she knows this woman's deepest, darkest secret. And so to find out why she's there and what she wants to do with that information, you'll have to pick up this book. Our next book is Paranoid by Lisa Jackson. And in this book, our character accidentally shot her half-brother in a game when they were teenagers. And she has no idea who switched out the soft pellet, airsoft guns that they were supposedly playing with a real weapon. And so a lot of people in her hometown think she got away with murder. But she is back in town trying to raise her kids, gets pulled into contacting alumni for their high school reunion, and strange things start happening. And she isn't sure if it is just her anxiety or she's just being paranoid, or if someone is really after her. And then as murders start happening that seem to be related to her half-brother's murder or death, things get really interesting. The next book is Lisa Jewell's The Family Upstairs. And this book, the main character was adopted and does not really discover anything about her birth parents until she inherits a mansion from them when she is 25 years old. But when she goes to live in this mansion, she finds out that the police are very interested in her mansion because there were several murders. Family died except for a 10-month-old baby. The next book is called Hindsight. It is by Iris Johansen and Roy Johansen. It is part of the Kendra Michaels series. And if you've read any of those, you know that Kendra was blind and had a groundbreaking surgery and has restored some of her sight, but still has a lot of compensation in her other senses that make up for having been blind for so many years. And so she's very perceptive. Well, in this story, she is pulled back into the school for the blind that she had gone to. There are 2 staff members who have been killed, but killed in different ways, and it is not immediately clear whether they were killed by the same person. So is she chasing one killer? Is she chasing 2? Find out by reading Hindsight. The next book is also by Iris Johansen. It is called Smokescreen, and it is part of her Eve Duncan series. Eve is called to Africa to help with some reconstruction after there is a horrific fire in a village. And so when she gets there, she realizes that she's kind of been invited here and isn't, and not for the reasons that she was originally told she was invited, and she doesn't really know who to trust. The next book is Lady in the Lake by Laura Lippman. And this book tells the story of Maddie, who has left her husband, and because she wants to make her mark in the world. She wants to do something different. And so she becomes a reporter and is researching and investigating the story of a young Black woman who was found in a lake, in a fountain in a lake in a city park. And the dead woman really doesn't want her investigating. And so it's a really interesting story about race relations. It was based, I believe, in the 1966. So it's based in the 60s. So there's lots of civil unrest, racial tensions going on. She ends up dating a Black policeman. So it is a fascinating, fun, and interesting read. The next book is Pretty as a Picture by Elizabeth Little. And this book follows a character who is a film editor. She is called to come edit a film that is about the death of a person in this town. And when she gets there, she finds a lot of tension on the set. No one will tell her why the first editor left and why she has been called in. She meets young ladies who are also doing an investigation, trying to find out who killed this person, and the killer is still around. Our next book is A Reasonable Doubt by Phillip Margolin. And this is part of the Robin Lockwood series. And in this book, Robin has a client come back who had been a client at his law firm years and years ago before he was even there, and wants to patent a magic trick. And as Robin researches this and discovers that this guy had years ago been charged with 2 different murders and acquitted from those murders, it gets very interesting. And then the guy performs this act of illusion and disappears. So was he killed? Was this all part of an act? Was he trying to escape? Were people after him because of his history and the murders? So to find out, you'll have to pick up the book. The next book is The Chain by Adrienne McKenty. And this book has a really scary premise. You get a call that says, I have kidnapped your child. To get your child back, you need to kidnap another child and call those parents. And once they have kidnapped someone, your child will be released. And that is all I know about this book, but it sounds extremely intriguing and maybe something I wouldn't want to read before I went to bed at night. So pick up The Chain. The next book is 9 Perfect Strangers by, I think it's Leanne Moriarty. I may not be saying that correctly. If I'm not, you can let me know. So 9 people check into a spa called Tranquillium, and they have to decide how far they are willing to go to become tranquil, to gain health, to benefit from everything this spa offers. The next book is called Please See Us. It is by Caitlin Mullen. In this book, there are 2 women, Clara and Lily. There are a string of deaths going on near where they are in Atlantic City. And Clara sees visions and is trying to figure out if she can use those visions to find the killer and find out what's going on, and thinks that Lily can help her. The last book on our psycho thriller list is The Dead Girls Club by Damien Angelica Walters. And in this book, we have Heather and a group of her friends years ago had a Dead Girls Club. They were obsessed with serial killers and monsters. And Heather's best friend, Becca, said that the red lady was real and she could prove it, but then Becca is killed. And so years later, Heather is trying to figure out why Becca said that, what really happened to Becca, and is the red lady really real as strange things start happening to her. All right, those are all the psycho thrillers we have on our shelves. Stay tuned for video number 2, which is going to go into our other thrillers that are available. Thanks, and have a nice day.